only difference between successful people and not is just how they think. Rich people think different. Quit letting people tell you you got to get qualified in another program. You don't need another program to be successful. You need to change the way you think. So here's the deal. The problem with becoming a millionaire is that when you decide that you want to be a millionaire, you immediately start thinking, how can I become a millionaire? Well, that thought don't just pop into your head, so you get frustrated and you don't become a millionaire. And you start creating stuff like, well, I guess this wasn't the Lord's will, or as soon as I think of how I'm gonna make $1 million. You can't think of how to make $1 million. Stop.
What we wish we had done is the voice of regret, speaking in a sorrowful tone at a time when there is no going back. This is regret.
Why do we live our life to be validated so much by strangers? Why do we let these people dictate how we feel about ourselves? Our self-esteem, our worth depends on if they like it or not. Who cares? Those people ain't gonna be there when times get hard. Those people don't even like you. Half of them don't. Those people don't really care about you.
When you're about to make those extreme jumps and leaps, it's always going to be your friends and your family. They will be the first ones to try and talk you out of what God has put on your heart to do.
All the rearview mirror does is allows you to see what you've passed and to prevent what you've passed from coming up on you again. The windshield is your future. It's where you're going. It's where you're headed. I hope you all picked up this today. And think about that, how that affects your life.
Every time you learn something new, you push something old out of your brain. See, a lot of people don't want to learn now, and that's okay. That's none of your business, none of my business. But if you're one of those like me, hungry, people that are hungry are willing to learn. You're keeping your mind active because you're engaged in this thing called life. You still have a presence. You're a force to be reckoned with. You have greatness in you. Yes, I'm going for it. There are more lives for me to touch, more lives for me to transform.
Don't dilute the vision and don't pollute it with how you want it. Don't weaken it by diluting it. Don't pollute it by adding to it. Some of the people you're trying to straighten out, they're not going to ever be straightened out. They're chickens when you're supposed to be sailing with the eagles. And that chicken that with all that gawking and flapping ain't going to ever fly. And you just chasing behind something that's not going to ever jump over 4 feet in the air. You could have been soaring with eagles and you're fooling with them chickens. They're chickens. Feed them and keep on walking.
Enlightened self-interest needs to be educated. I will learn that life is not just the passing of time.
If you have a support system in place, that's beautiful. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't really see what you see, but I'm in full support of you. Go make it happen. But in most cases, if you open up your mouth trying to explain to people what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, they will be the first people to try and talk you out.
I think that among the things that prevent us from acting is the fear of failure. And if you've already failed, you don't want to fail again, the pain of that. The fear of loss is another thing. Because many times when we do those things that we know we need to do, we feel that we might lose somebody. Many of us don't act because we want other people's approval. And that's not possible. Many of us don't do the things that we want to do and don't act because of lack of self-confidence. We don't believe enough in ourselves.
Watch out for we's, because people will control you with a we, and you will miss your opportunity trying to be loyal to the we, and all of a sudden, in order to fit in your sociological environment, you passed up the promotion, you passed up the position that you wanted to take because you want the people you're sitting beside to like you and accept you.
The little decisions that you make, they matter. They add up, and you have to connect those dots. Otherwise, you don't know where you're going to end up. and it might be bad.
I just beat me. This ain't about nobody else. I just beat me. If I can keep beating myself, pause, if I can keep doing that, then that means that I'm in a battle with the only person that I really want can beat, and that's me. I don't care about anybody else. I have no worry or gripe about the next man or woman's journey. That's not what I'm up against. If I can continue to outdo me from the day before, then I'm ahead.
I will learn that life is the collection of experiences, highs and lows, laughter and tears. You must decide to act. You must have the discipline to act. One discipline affects another discipline. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone.
If you're always seeking a certain status to validate who you are, you're never going to have peace. You can't climb up to find yourself. You have to find yourself so you can climb up. So you can be who you are before anybody knows who you are. If you listen at discouragement, it will cause you to make bad decisions. It will cause you to think that life is not worth living. And secretly, behind the facade of a smile and a good morning and a praise the Lord and a how are you, you will wonder if you're ever going to get out of what you're into.
One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life. And when we begin to understand and know that, accepting that reality, that we will never ever have things just on an even keel all the time, that you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. Anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships, the children are acting normal, business is successful. Anybody can be positive then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. See, but the real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. Adversity introduces a man to himself or a woman. How you handle it, that's where the growth takes place.
Most of y'all have visions and ideas that are sent to you, and you're trying to explain it to other people. And because they were never sent the vision, most of y'all say, well, maybe it's not meant to be. That was something that God sent you. That was your vision, your idea. It's not his or not hers. So what ends up happening is your family, your friends, they end up talking you out of your individual experience that you have with God.
I don't know what kind of odds are against you today, physically, financially. I don't know what kind of storm has come or trying to come into your life. If you wait too long to decide what you're going to do with your life, you'll find out that you've already done it. You have to learn to start where you are. Big doors swing on little hinges.
When you start renaming it and you start reframing it and you choose to remain in it, what happens is you produce this word. It's called resiliency. The righteous man, he falls 7 times, but he gets back up. I'm choosing today to get back up, to remain in the grind.
We all have these tough moments in life. And see, they can make you or they can break you. Come on now. Come on, bring it. Come on now. I had to replace fearfulness with being fearless and take the initiative to do something else with my life.
Greatness is not inherited. It's not the result of birth, in other words. You can be born high and live low. Or you can be born low, but you can still live high. Your greatness is not determined by your pedigree or the family that you were born into. Your parents can be great and you can be a dummy.
The key to your future is the successful management of time and change. You can't stop time, so all you can do with them is manage them. And you become what you are based on how you manage both of them.
Step back and ask yourself the question, what do I do that's absolutely amazing? What do I do that's effortless to me? And what makes me feel confident? Figure that out. Whatever that may be, hold on to that and focus in on that and anchor into it. So when you do go into this new skill, realize it's a process, just like the other skills you've learned on your journey. The more you practice something, the better you get at it.
Commit yourself to learning. Feed your mind. Sharpen your interest in two major subjects, life and people. Learn more on how to get the most from life. Learn all that you can so that you can become all that you can become. Learning is the beginning of a life worth living. Learning is the beginning of happiness. Learning is the beginning of spirituality and faith. Learning and searching is where the process of creating your own personal miracle begins.
Greatness does not have to have the approval of everyone. And if you are the kind of person that will have to have the approval of everyone and understanding of everyone, you'll never achieve greatness. Greatness is uncommon. Greatness is not something that you see a lot. It distinguishes you from the crowd. It makes you stick out when you become great.
We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe any differently, but then we don't walk the talk. Do as I say, not as I do. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us.
Find somebody close enough to you that has observed you or been around you that you value their opinion, and ask them, how do they see you? And then compare what you have with what they say. See, there are things many times that people can see in us that we can't see because it's a blind spot.
Also equates to a non-existence of a great life. And so embrace the fact that you're going to have to sacrifice and suffer to some extent. Once you've embraced that it's going to happen, it's almost not that bad. It's kind of like those of you that are fit. You've sort of accepted that before you go to the gym and get there, you're going to have to suffer. And we go anyway. It becomes a habit.
It takes discipline to change a habit, because habits are formed a little bit each day, every day. Once habits are formed, they act like a giant cable that only long-term disciplined activity can change. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one, to overcome one which is less desirable. We must unweave every strand of the cable of habits slowly and methodically.
If it does not measure up to my expectations, I'm not going to invest my time. I don't have the luxury to waste time. I'm expecting some great things from life. So examine your expectations versus your wishes. And some people wish they could do better, but some people expect to do better. Where are you on that?
Anticipation is the ultimate advantage. Winners, leaders anticipate, losers react. The reason you get beat is you don't know where things are happening, so you're reacting. Reaction is always stressful. And yet so much of our life is predictable if we just were to study it, not be caught up in our day-to-day. It's predictable the challenges you're going to have in your relationships or with your kids or with your body. These are predictable. And if you were to anticipate these things and put a strategy in place, you could take it all out and have the quality of life that you deserve. Those that anticipate, those that lead, and then there's those that follow. The followers are the reactionaries.
The system we live in and contribute to is designed to make the easiest things in life the most unprofitable. Our world is and always will be a constant battle between the life of ease and its momentary rewards and a life of discipline. Each has its own price, the price of discipline or the price of regret. We will pay one or the other.
Somebody say there's some good in the worst of us and some bad in the best of us. I want you to become involved in an active process to get some clutter out of your life. Start working on it. I'm going home tonight to clean my closets. Let's go home. Let that be our task this week.
Time is an amazing power. Every day, week, month, or year is a gift given to us by God to complete a task.
The human mind isn't used merely because we take it for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. It can do any kind of job we assign to it, but generally speaking, we use it for little jobs instead of big important ones. Decide now. What is it you want? Plant your goal in your mind. It's the most important decision you'll ever make in your entire life.
Hello everyone, today I'm gonna talk about different is the way of script. Start with an attention grabbing statement about the power of being different, including yourself to the topic of the video. Increase views to embrace their individuality and not conform to serial rooms. Discuss the importance of being authentic and true to of self rather and trying to fit in. Explain in individuals for have success by embracing their uniqueness and going again and against. Address the power of judgment of cremating and often comes with being different and provide stress for overcoming it. Discuss the importance of finding likes minded individuals who appreciate and supports uniqueness. Highlights how everyone difference can lead a creativity and innovation in various fields. States the importance of embracing diversity and respecting the difference in others. Share a personal story and according about a time when embracing your uniqueness lead a provide outline. Sometimes it's a points to discuss. It's overthinking to a memorable choosing statement that reflects the importance of respecting and celebrating difference.